Hey everyone, I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Billy.
And this is Not Just Sundays, the podcast that takes us from going to church
to being the church.
Each episode, we'll look at how to take the words of Scripture from the page to the pavement.
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Not Just Sundays podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Ministry League Network.
To hear other podcasts like this, as well as a ton of other resources, download the Ministry League app or go to ministryleague.com.
Being a Christian is an everyday thing, not just Sundays.
Hey, welcome back. Episode 3 of the Not Just Sundays podcast.
Episode 3.
3 episodes already.
Yes, it feels like 20.
Well, Jeremy, best time of the year.
That's right.
We should be having this outside.
Yes,
we should make an outside studio with this awesome weather we have here in East Tennessee.
Yes, we can do that.
Fall weather. Right. We got football now.
True.
Love some football, especially right now. I love some football.
Yes, with the Vols doing well. Yes.
Yeah. Flannel. I like flannel shirts.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I love this time of year.
Okay. And pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
Pumpkin. By the way, I'm about to drop some truth on you guys. Pumpkin spice doesn't taste like pumpkins.
Those words.
Pumpkins don't taste like that. They just don't. Anyway, we just lost some listeners. Anyway, what are we talking about today, Billy?
Well, today we're going to open up to the book of James again. We've kind of been there for the past 2 episodes, and we're going to kind of stay there for a little longer.
James. We like James.
James is a good book.
Yes.
Easy to talk about, really. And we're going to look at James chapter 3 today, and we're going to talk about something very specific that I think a lot of people deal with. Probably most of the people who are watching us or listening to us right now are involved in this area of life, and so that's why we kind of thought we'd talk about it.
Yeah, and James, he hones in here on the tongue. Of course, James is a very practical book, and we probably have all heard the phrase, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me." Did I just rap there, sort of? And anyway, but the thing, it's not true. That's not a true statement, because words really do hurt. I mean, words matter. And what James tells us and warns us about here makes a lot of sense if we will just listen to him. Yeah.
I mean, really, we hear lots of lessons about the power of the tongue, but we can never overemphasize the power and the importance of using the tongue properly. And when we say the tongue, we're not talking about our physical tongue, right? But, speaking of that, the doctor, when you go, he usually says, stick your tongue out, right?
That's true.
And he can tell a lot about your physical health from looking at your physical tongue. Well, same can be said about
or if you drank coffee that morning.
Yeah, that's true. The same can be said about our spiritual life.
Yes.
That we, by looking at our tongues, we can see how well or how sick we might be as Christians.
That's true. And, we're not just talking about like our verbal, communication and how we talk to each other. Right. I think most all of us understand that. I mean, those words that come out of your mouth can be very, very harmful, but there seems to be this digital disconnect when it comes to social media, when it comes to just, it's like people who understand that you shouldn't say certain things to people, to their face or behind their back, but you shouldn't say certain things. Like, they just lose all control when they get on social media.
Right. It's like we have this wall here of safety and security, and we feel like face to face we would never confront or tell our opinions. But all of a sudden, when we get behind a computer screen or behind our phones, it's like it's all unleashed, and we can say whatever we want.
Oh, man, it's just out there.
And I think we've tricked ourselves to think that that's not actually our tongue doing that we can say whatever we want to say, and that's not really a reflection of us as long as we don't say it out loud.
Right.
I want to share some numbers with you, just as we're talking about really social media and taming our tongues.
Please do.
Everyone loves numbers, right?
Yeah, we just lost a whole lot more people.
Facebook has 2.4 billion users. YouTube has 1.5 billion. Instagram has 800 million, and Twitter has 328 million users. If nothing else, I think this solidifies the fact that this topic is relevant. People are on these platforms. As of December 2019, the total worldwide population is 7.8 billion.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. And the internet has 4.5 billion users.
That's billion with a B.
I mean, literally half of the world's population is active on social media. Crazy. On average, people have 7.6 social media accounts.
I don't
even know.
How can you have that many? Is that possible?
I mean, if you want to have like multiple Instagram accounts, I guess that's where that falls in.
You mean like us?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I just started thinking about this in reality. I was like, wait a minute. Of course, that's with the church and
the podcast,
and
our personal,
everything.
and the youth group. Yeah, so actually, I have 4 just on Instagram. Wow, I'm
I
doing
now-
some serious self-reflection here,
I now
people.
feel ashamed. Yeah.
With that being said, the average daily time spent on social media is 142 minutes a day.
Okay, I can believe that. I can
Yeah,
totally
so
believe
social media is important, especially when we talk about taming
Yes.
our tongues.
Yeah.
So I think this is appropriate because social media, though, let's make this clear, social media is not the enemy, right?
that. Right.
I mean, there's
right.
so many good things that come from social media. So social media is not the enemy, but while Christians seem to carry themselves with kindness and grace and love while at church and maybe in person, it seems like on social media we transform into some kind of beast. And we say the things we want to because Christians, we need to understand that what we say on social media actually matters.
Yeah, I think we most definitely we need to take a look at that and understand that is a part of, that would be included in what James is communicating to us. So let's kind of take a look at the text here in James chapter 3 and verses 1 through 5. He starts with a warning about being teachers. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean like a Bible class teacher kind of thing. It's the idea of anybody who is teaching. He says, not many of you should be teachers, my brothers, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness. For we all stumble in many ways. That's true. Mm-hmm. And if anyone does not stumble in what he says, he's a perfect man and able also to bridle his whole body. It's interesting, the word perfect there. I'm not really sure why we're still using that word in English translation because it doesn't mean like perfect, like, like I applied a filter on Instagram and now I am perfect, no blemishes. But what he means is it's a mature person.
Right, complete.
Yeah, complete. Yeah, I like that. So it's probably a better word. Why aren't they using that? Anyway, so verse 3, if we put bits into the mouths of horses so that they obey us, we guide their whole bodies as well. Look at the ships also. Though they are so large and are driven by strong winds, they are guided by a very small rudder wherever the will of the pilot directs. So also the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts of great things. And think about this whole section here is really about the power of the tongue. Words do matter. And then he uses this illustration of a bit in a horse's mouth. And I grew up around horses, and my mom and dad have horses right now. And it's very true. Just a very small device that goes in their mouth can control them. And then, of course, the rudder of a ship, very small thing. But notice when you look back in that, he says that, especially with the rudder, he says, wherever the will of the pilot directs. And so these massive things, a horse and a ship, can be steered by just something so very small. And that speaks to the power of the tongue, whether it's spoken or like on social media.
I like when you go on cruises and you're standing on the shoreline, or on the pier, and
I've
you can
never
look
been
at
on
all
a cruise.
these.
I'm not rich enough to go on cruises.
Man, you should be. You need to get that way. Because cruises are the best.
Sweet. Okay, go ahead.
So when you're standing there and looking at all of them lined up, it's amazing. These ships are massive.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's a very small mechanism that makes those ships move. And I like the comparison even then. But we have a word today that is specifically used for the bad kind of language on social media. And it's the word trolling. A lot of people like to troll today. The actual definition, it's a verb, and the actual definition is to intentionally provoke others online with tactics ranging from starting unnecessary arguments to seeking to damage one's reputation.
Man.
So the idea is we've made a word for what we do online now, trolling. That word didn't even sound good. There's a book called 12 Ways Your Phone is Changing You. And the author of this book actually kind of puts it this way. He says, in the age when really anyone, at the touch of their fingers, can publish dirt on anyone else, we must know that spreading antagonistic messages online and with the intent of provoking hostility without a solution, that's what we call slander. The New Testament has a word for that, slander. That's what that is online if we're doing that on purpose.
Yeah. And again, going back to this idea of a digital disconnect, though, people, good intentioned people, thinking that perhaps they are sharing some kind of truth in the world, end up doing this. And I don't think they even realize that's what's happening when they get into these negative conversations with people. And I'm just going to forewarn you, if you're listening to this, I don't know that I've ever seen good solutions or good conversations even come from posts on social media. It just doesn't happen. It's not the right platform. And there's all kinds of things that go along. All kinds of things are missing there, like nonverbal communication, seeking to understand. It's not a good place to have those conversations.
Yeah, and I think that's a good test for ourselves. If you're getting onto Facebook or onto Instagram and you're looking, like that's what you're there for, is to look for those posts that are going to upset you.
Yeah.
I think that's a good measurement there to find out if we're even using our tongue the right way and using social media the right way.
That's right. And coming back to our passage in James chapter 5, the second part of verse 5, and then into verse 6, he talks about, he switches to discussing, reminding us of the influence, negative or positive, just the influence of the tongue. He says, how great a forest is set ablaze by such a small fire.
Yep.
And we experienced that a couple of years ago in the Smokies. Bless those people's hearts out in California.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And it just takes a little spark. But he goes on in verse 6, and the tongue is a fire, a world of unrighteousness. Doesn't make it sound very good.
Nope.
The tongue is set among our members, staining the whole body, setting on fire the entire course of life. Oh, please stop, James. And set on fire by hell.
Hey, and comment on our post, right? Share our podcast with your friends.
Oh, wow. I mean, it just gets serious fast. James is like, I'm just going to be real with you.
But it makes perfect sense, right? I mean, he lays it out in such an easy way for us to understand. That's why we're talking about it, because we can understand it.
Man, yeah. And the thing, too, is it's not just words. I'm glad you mentioned this, the like and share. Remember, it's not just words.
Right.
If you see something that somebody's posted that is, I mean, especially in this political season, and everybody, you can have your own political opinions, but again, I don't know that social media is the appropriate place to have those conversations. And then, like, if somebody posts something that maybe it's not even true, but it just catches fire, and you like it, what happens?
Yeah, you're encouraging that.
Yes.
You're saying, you know what,
Yes.
I want more of that. It's
Yes.
like the popular thing now with memes. You know, memes are everywhere. Everything is a meme. And so it's funny because it's not funny, it's sad.
Yeah.
But, there's memes out there that say things that Christians shouldn't be saying.
Right.
But yet we think by just liking someone posting that, it's like, oh, well, I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that what you did was funny, so it's okay.
No,
and by sharing it or by commenting on it, you're saying, I want more of that.
Yes.
I'm encouraging that.
Yes.
Keep giving me more of that.
Right. Right. Especially like you said, if you share that, I mean, it's not appropriate. It's just not. Even like you're not, like I didn't type it, so it's not a big deal.
Right.
There's still a problem with that, because if you share it, I mean, I've seen people share things with cuss words in it.
Yeah.
And you're like, I know you would never say that.
Right. But for some reason we think it's okay because we didn't actually say it. But that is our tongue at use on social media.
Exactly.
So we need to talk about a couple things. We need to talk about how do we, some practical ways of controlling this tongue, as we talk about through verses 7 through 12.
Right.
Some tests we can give ourselves. So what is a way that you have that we can really work on controlling our tongues? Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I found years ago, and I really like this, is the Rotary test. And the Rotary Club.
What is that?
Yeah. Like I was in the Lions Club. People were like, you tame lions? No, we help people with sight. These service organizations are going away, people. And they shouldn't, because they're really valuable. But Rotary Club is like, it's a service club for business people, and it was always meant to be very encouraging. It was meant to help them to think more ethically about situations.
You're showing your age.
Yes, I am. The Rotary Club. Yeah.
Hey, read the book Bowling Alone.
Yes.
All about
he
that.
talks
How
about
our economy, our society is declining and not joining these kind of
man.
clubs anymore.
I know, because we think we can do it better without each other. But anyway, so there's this 4-way Rotary test about if you're going to share something, if you're going to say something, there are these 4 questions, and the questions are, ask these questions before you share it. Is it the truth? We could just stop there for social media, right?
It's my truth.
Yeah, it's my truth. Yeah, is it the truth, like the real truth, okay? Is it fair to all concerned? Because it could be the truth, but it might be a version of the truth, or it might be truth without context. We see a lot of that. We're a sound bite society. We got to get away from that. Number 3 is, will it build goodwill and better friendships? If you are blasting people on social media, you are not securing friends. Now, you might.
I don't need no more friends.
You might be building hedges and walls and fortresses around the people that already agree with you, but you're definitely alienating other people. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Number 4, will it be beneficial?
Right.
To all concerned. And I just wonder how beneficial social media is to us. And of course, we're doing this, what's ironic is this is going to be on Facebook, and we're going to, post it on Instagram.
Yep.
We're do all this. But you said this at the beginning. Social media can be a wonderful force for good.
It's not the enemy. Yeah, we use it.
But it's the way that we approach it, our attitude, our perspective of it, what we do with it.
Yeah.
And that involves the tongue.
Yeah. And the Rotary Club, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, they made this Rotary test not thinking about the Bible in mind.
Correct.
They were just doing it for the goodwill of our community.
Yeah.
So think about, as Christians, even more,
Please.
how we should even more so not be doing these kind of things. And so, like, for instance, there are times when we do need to stand up for things.
Yeah,
we
correct.
can't just, let everybody beat us up on social media.
Yes.
And so how exactly do we do that? Well, I actually found 2 ways that I wanted to share about like how we can disagree without attacking people. And I see some people do this really well. First off, ask clarifying questions.
Yes.
So if someone posts something, maybe you don't go look for it, but if you've posted something, someone says something back, ask clarifying questions. Like, for instance, well, tell me a little bit more why you don't like this or why you said this. After that, then respectfully share why you disagree. If you're being respectful, you and I disagree about stuff, but we're respectful about it.
Yes.
And we can talk about those things.
Yeah.
And I can be like, okay, I see why you disagree, and you see why I disagree, and you're allowed to be wrong. It's okay. 'Cause we're all entitled to wrong opinions.
And then I just toilet paper your office afterwards. Yeah, hey, we're good. We're good.
We're okay. Yeah. But some people will just get nasty no matter what, right? No matter how polite you are, that is a sign that you probably need to exit the conversation.
Yeah, eject. Get out of there. Right. Yeah. I love Stephen Covey, in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of the things that he talks about in this communication is seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Yeah.
And that's a great guiding principle for social media with what you were, especially the first one. Ask those clarifying questions.
And James says that, right? Be slow to speak and quick to listen.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the same thing.
Slow to speak. Exactly. Yeah, he's a master at communication with what he teaches us, for sure.
We need to remember that we have complete control over what we say on social media. We don't have to type nasty things. We don't have to share memes that have bad words.
True.
We have 100% control. So choose to be an encourager. Social media has changed the world and the very nature of communication, but we're able to broadcast our every thought and opinion.
Yeah.
So let's make sure as Christians we don't forget where we are, whose we are, and who we represent as Christians.
Yeah, remember passages like this, and you might need to put this in your phone somewhere or something, or you might need to post it on social media so you'll be reminded of it. But like Colossians 4:6, let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person. Or, a parallel passage, Ephesians 4:29, let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. Those 2 verses could have been written in the 21st century, and they are applicable. They are relevant in the 21st century because that's not just a first century idea. And we need to even more so hone in on those 2 verses like that.
Yeah, another verse that I like, Matthew 5 and verse 16.
Yeah.
It says, in the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds, and as a result, they're going to glorify your Father in heaven. Yeah. To illustrate how deadly the tongue is, James says there in verse 8 of chapter 3, he says, it's an unruly evil full of deadly poison. One thing I hate more than anything on earth. Here comes some
truth.
It's getting serious. This is truth.
Lay it down.
And I know we just talked about being good with our language, but I mean, everybody's going to agree with me. One thing I hate more than anything on earth is snakes.
Oh, amen. Yeah.
Hate snakes.
Well,
They're the worst.
Venomous snakes.
No,
just snakes.
All snakes.
Yeah, I like you. Okay.
Satan with a serpent. All snakes. All right. So the most venomous snakes, from my limited research I've done. So if you're a zoologist or something, please do not send me hate mail, because a lot of you send us mail, right? The most venomous snakes are often small, but they're poisonous and can kill. Same with the tongue. It's very small, but it can kill us spiritually, and it can be such a poison to people. So does that just mean we give up, though? I mean, like, do we just say, okay, well, I'm never ever going to post on social media again. I'm never going to talk to people. Never going to disagree.
As a matter of fact, we need to do a better job of trying to, I guess we could call it like change the algorithm, maybe
control the algorithm.
Yeah, I like it. Take control of that. I mean, that in recent documentaries, maybe you've seen what I've seen. It talks about this and how what you post and what you look at that helps it build speed. What you like, what you share, and so we need to remember that. James 1:26 is another verse that comes to mind. If any among you thinks he is religious, does not bridle his tongue, but deceives his own heart, this one's religion is useless.
Yeah.
Whoa.
No
That's
value.
serious. No value.
Yeah. I mean, it's important that we remember that because, like, for instance, because of you all who are listening, who are watching, we had a lot of you all share our podcast and like our videos. And because of that, more people saw it than we could have ever reached out to. So that's what that algorithm means, is the things that you like, the things you comment on, the things you share. We're not trying to say, let's fast from social media, let's abstain from it. Instead, let's control it. Let's make sure that if you want your newsfeed to look friendly and encouraging and positive, make it that way.
Amen. Yes, you can. And that's the thing, is control. We're losing self-control. And yet, what is it? Fruit of the Spirit, part of that is control, self-control. Right?
And there's a couple ways. Now, let's get real practical. There's a couple ways that we can actually do this.
All right.
And so what is one of those ways?
Okay, one of those is, number one, you probably need to take a digital inventory of what you're consuming. Think about, look at it. Jesus reminds us in Mark 7, he says, hey, look, it's not about the food you eat, but we often equate Mark 7, 20 through 23 with the idea of you are what you eat. So you are going to put forth what you bring into your body, into your mind.
Trash in is trash out.
Trash in, trash out. Get rid of that stuff that stinks. Just do it. And just be honest about that. If you find yourself doing that, if somebody maybe calls you out, instead of getting all mad and huffy and just blasting them and trolling them, then stop and say, maybe I shouldn't have done that, and be willing to take stuff down sometimes. You actually can unpost things, right?
Yes, you can. And have a realistic view. It's like sometimes we think that we're the truth police, and that if someone posts their opinion about something, unless we're the ones to say, oh, y'all are so stupid, that's not right, it's like as if we think that's going to become truth.
Right.
We can need to abstain from that by taking an inventory. I like it.
Yeah. Okay, what's another one, Billy?
Another way, and here's some things that I actually do. First off, most phones now come with this already.
Okay.
But there's some settings you can have on there, but it actually sets a time.
Mine has it or not. I got an older
Our
one.
next episode will be a special tutorial for those of you who know. It actually has a time limit on there. So like when I've been on Instagram for 1 hour, my phone lights up and says, you've been on there for an hour. Doesn't stop it, doesn't turn it off, doesn't block it. It just tells me, it's like, oh, hey, by the way, you've been on here for an hour. And usually, thankfully, it's toward the end of the day. Like it really is, if I'm being honest. So I've been better about this. So usually it's like dinner time where it says, you've been on there an hour. And I'm like, okay, I feel better about that. But that's one way. Because if you're always constantly scrolling, it's because I look at it at work on my computer. So if you're always constantly scrolling on your phone, on your computer, you need to set a time limit. But another way that's real easy is, without unfriending people, there's actually some options on Facebook and Instagram where you can actually unfollow people while still being friends.
Yes.
And that might sound hateful, but it's really not, because you control what you see. So if there's somebody who you've been lifelong friends with, or even a family member who, you care about that person, but the stuff they post is just overwhelming, you can actually push a little unfollow to where you're not going to see that stuff near as often. And that's just some helpful, like practical ways to help yourself make sure you're controlling your tongue.
And I think that's responsible use of social media for me as an individual, recognizing that what traps might bring me in. So that's very good.
I kind of wish, when you're going to get your gun permit or anything like that, you take a test, right? You go through a training. I almost wish, in order to sign up for Facebook or Instagram, you had to go through a test and some training.
How do you unfollow? A, click here. B, click there. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, so I like this verse, and you found this and shared it, in our notes here. Psalm 141 and verse 3. Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips.
Let that be our anthem.
I like it.
Yeah.
Let that be our anthem. Okay, I had to sing.
Every week. You already have. You rapped earlier, remember?
Oh, I did, man. I rapped.
For those of you listening, I'm in quotations big time here. You rapped earlier. So, time for the challenge.
Oh, the challenge. The Not Just Sundays podcast.
We will have some kind of noise in the future for that.
We got to figure that out. All right, so here's the challenge this week. Do you want to tell it, or you want to share it?
Let's do it together.
Together.
Let's do it together. This will be fun.
Okay.
Each word will rotate.
Okay.
No,
all right.
No.
Okay.
I'm
anyway,
not doing that.
All right. So here's what we want you to do. We talked about changing the algorithm.
Control the algorithm. Yeah.
Control and change. All right. We want you to do that. Just do it right now. We need it more than ever. So here's what we want you to do. We want you to, on your social media feeds, share and comment on the things that bring positivity. Things that direct your mind. Set your mind on things above, right? Colossians 3, 1 and 2. Set your mind on things above. share and comment on the things that are bringing positivity. And guess what's happened? That's going to catch traction. That's going to control. It's going to change the algorithm.
And we'll help you out. The first way to do that is by liking, by sharing, and by commenting this very podcast.
Oh, what a great podcast you could like and share.
We're giving you a challenge, but we're also telling you how to do it. We're giving you a head start.
It's an all-in-one. All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's good. So I think that's what we have for you, today, Taming the Tongue.
Yeah.
And it's man, James is such a practical book of the Bible. That's why we keep coming back to it with this podcast. And we're probably going to come back to this next year and talk more specifically about social media and not just, commenting things. Talk about some of the
safety measures.
Yeah, safety measures. Oh,
be important.
Yeah.
So
especially for those of you who have children.
And so as we go throughout the rest of our week, the rest of our time, really, I like that last verse. Keep watch over the doors of my lips. We're not trying to cut the tongue out. We're trying to make sure we control the tongue.
That's right. That's right. That's awesome. Okay, that's what we got for you this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, if you have any questions for us or comments, smart remarks even, it's fine.
Put
you
them
can
down
comment, on Facebook. If you want to email us, you can email us at notjustsundays podcast at gmail.com, and that's on our Facebook page, and you can find us on YouTube. You can find us all over the place. But make sure to share this with other people if you feel like it'll be beneficial for them. So I'm Jeremy, and
this is Billy.
All right, and we appreciate all your time, and God bless, and Lord willing, we'll see you sometime soon.
Yep, see you later.
Thanks for joining us today.
And remember, if you're watching us on Facebook or Instagram, please like, share, and comment so we can spread the word.
Big thanks to the Ministry League for their partnership. Make sure to download the Ministry League app or go to the website, ministryleague.com, to access lots of great resources, including other podcasts just like this one.
The Not Just Sundays podcast is produced here in Knoxville, Tennessee at the West End Church of Christ Studios.
Music is by Jazzer, Take Me Higher.
Have a great week. You can reach us at notjustsundayspodcast at gmail.com with any questions, comments, or smart remarks.
Remember, being a Christian is an everyday thing, not just Sundays.